Hello students, in this lesson we are going to learn everything about the space advantage. What is a space advantage and how to exploit it. Let's start with an example. In this position we can play pawn to d5, gaining space in the center. This pawn on d5 gives us space advantage in the center. Black plays knight a4, he wants to play pawn to c4 and then go knight to c5. So we stop it. We play pawn to c4. Black plays b4. Now as you can see, the center is blocked. You cannot play in the center. And if you cannot play in the center, then you have to choose one flank. Either you play on the queen side or you play on the king side. In this case, white's pieces are already pointing toward the king side, so it makes sense to play there. So white plays rook to f1. After queen to c7, white plays f4, pawn break. Black plays knight d7. Black's idea is that if white plays f cross e5, then black will play knight cross e5 and his knight will become powerful in the center. So here white simply plays queen c2. Later, white will shift his queen toward the king side. Black plays knight c3 and white plays pawn to f5. With pawn to f5, white got one more pawn in the opponent's area. And this gives us space advantage on the king side also. Black plays knight f6 and now this knight is active, so black plays knight e2. Black wants to exchange opponent's active knight. Knight cross e2, bishop cross e2 and black played bishop to d6. And remember, when the center is closed, you have to play on one flank. And you should play on that flank where you have more space. In this case, white has more space toward the king side. So white should play on the king side. And that's why white played pawn to g4. You are pushing the pawns in front of your king. Yes, it makes your king a little bit weaker, but you don't have to worry about the safety of your king, because when the center is blocked, opponent's pieces cannot attack your king. These two bishops are useless because they are blocked by their own pawns. The center is blocked, so your king is perfectly safe. And that's why you can play moves like g4. Your plan is to play h4, g5 and continue the attack on the king side. Black finds a very nice move. Black plays king f8. Black knows that an attack is coming on the king side, so he runs with his king. His plan is to play king e7, king d8, king c7, so that at least his king is safe. We continue with our plan. h4, king e7, pawn to g5. After h cross g5, black plays knight d7. And now we play bishop to g4. Later our idea is to play f6 and open the diagonal of this bishop at the right time. Black plays rook g8. And first we play king f2. We want to make sure that at least our king is safe, and if we want, we can play rook h1 and we can take advantage of the open h file also. So black plays rook h8, white plays rook h1, rook c to g8. Black is bringing all of his pieces from queen side to king side. White plays queen d1. After king to d8, white goes queen g1. 2-3 moves later, you will see why queen g1 is a good idea. Black plays knight b6. He wants to put pressure on our c4 pawn. And white first plays rook h2. If required, white can play queen h1 and to take control of the open h file. Black plays queen e7, knight to b3. Now you can see that this knight is attacking the pawn on c5, bishop is attacking the pawn on c5, and queen is also in the same line. After king c7, white plays king f3. And now you can see why white put his queen on g1. From g1, queen is targeting the c5 pawn. So we have 3 attackers on the c5 pawn. and black plays knight d7 to bring three defenders on the c5 pawn. And now we see the advantage of having space. If we have space, it is easier for us to transfer the pieces from one side of the board to another side of the board. Black does not have a lot of space, so it is difficult for black to shuffle his pieces from one side of the board to another side of the board. When we started pushing our pawns on the king side, black's king was on g8. So we were hoping to attack the black's king. But right now the black's king is on the other side of the board. So what we can do? We can play a3. A pawn sacrifice. We want to open the lines on the queen side, and because we have the space advantage, it will be easier for us to shift our pieces from king side to the queen side, and black cannot do the same. Black took the pawn, and now first we play rook a2. First rook goes from king side to queen side. Black plays rook h4, and we don't have to worry about the open h file because all of these squares are covered, so he cannot do anything. We take the pawn. Rook gh8, we play rook to b1. Our second rook goes to the open file, and now you will see how we shift our pieces from king side to queen side and attack on the queen side. Black plays rook b8. Black also tries to bring his pieces toward the queen side, but he does not have a lot of space and it will take him time. We play queen to e1. We are threatening this rook, and we are also threatening queen a5 check. Black plays rook h8, and now we play queen a5 check. Look, after king to c8, we play pawn to f6. Now look at our pieces. Bishop is pointing here, queen is pointing here, both the rooks are pointing here, knight is attacking on c5, bishop is attacking there. All of our pieces are pointing in the same direction. Black plays g cross f6, and now we play knight cross c5. We are threatening this knight after bishop cross c5, and all of black's pieces are stuck. They cannot do anything. So black is lost in this position. Let's say black goes queen d8. Here you can play bishop to b6. After, let's say, queen to e7, you can simply start pushing the pawns. c5. And in the next move, you are going to play pawn to c6 and you are going to win material. So white is winning here. So basically, having the space allows you to shift your attack from one side of the board to another side of the board very easily, and your opponent cannot do the same. Let's look at one more example. In this position, we are white. White's pawn is in the opponent's area. No opponent's pawn is in our area, so we can say that we have the space advantage in the center. And white started with pawn to f4. He wants to build his space advantage on the king side too. Knight to d7, e4. Look at these pawns. White has the space advantage in center and on the king side. Black plays b5. Black tries to play on the queen side. We play queen c3. We put our bishop on this long diagonal. Later, when we attack on the king side, queen will be helpful there. B cross c4, rook b8. And now it is important to take control of this b file. So white plays rook b1. Queen c7. And now you play bishop to h3. From g2, bishop was pointing toward its own pawns. Bishop was a bad bishop. So we change the diagonal of the bishop and turn it into a good bishop. Now this bishop is completely open on this diagonal. Black plays knight b6 and we play rook b3. We want to double on the b file. Knight a8 and we play rook fb1. Black plays rook b6. He wants to exchange the pieces and he also wants to double on the b file. And now we immediately play pawn to e5. We are striking in the center. Black plays rook fb8 and now we play pawn e6. If black plays f cross e6, then after bishop cross e6, king f8, queen h8, it will be a checkmate. So here black has to play pawn to f6. And now you can see these pawns are deep in opponent's territory, and because of these pawns, white has big space advantage. If white wants, he can easily shift his attack from queen side to king side, and it will be very difficult for these pieces to go toward the king side. So white first plays bishop to f1. His idea is to play bishop d3 and point it toward the opponent's king side. After rook to b4, white plays a3, rook cross b3, rook cross b3, rook cross b3, queen cross b3. Rooks got exchanged, but it's okay. Our queen and bishop can still attack on the opponent's king side, and opponent cannot bring his knight to the defense of the king side. Black plays knight b6, and we play pawn to h4. Yes, not only queen and bishop, our pawn will also help us to attack the opponent's king. Black plays king f8. He wants to run away with his king. He can see that it is not possible for black to shift his pieces toward the king side, so he just runs away with his king. First we play king h2. After king e8, we play pawn to f5. If opponent captures the pawn, then we play bishop d3. We are going to recapture it, and we are going to win one more pawn. So instead of capturing the pawn, black just continues with king d8. We play f cross g6, h cross g6. And now you can see this king side is still vulnerable. There is a weak pawn. We can try to win this weak pawn. So we play queen c2. And as you can see, with just one move, white shifted his attack to the king side. And opponent cannot do the same. Opponent cannot bring his pieces toward the defense of the king side. Why? Because these pawns are blocking the pieces. This is the advantage of having the space. Black plays knight c8, and we play queen cross g6. In the next moves, we are going to play h5, h6 and make a queen, and there is no way for black to stop it. That's why black is lost here. I hope you can see how useful the space advantage is and how to exploit that space advantage. Well, it is when you have the space advantage, it is easier for you to play on both the sides. You can easily shift your pieces from queen side to king side to queen side, and opponent cannot do the same. It gives you a lot of mobility and lot of piece play. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's go to the next one.